The town of Philadelphia trembled in heartbreak and fear as the unidentified naked body of a 4-year-old child was discovered in a cardboard box in the woods off Susquehanna Road on the 25th of February, 1957. The discovery was made by a college student who was reportedly in the area to spy on the young girls of the nearby Good Shepherd Home, a Catholic residential home for women. On his way through the bushes and the woods, he stumbled upon a cardboard box which seemed to have something stuffed inside it. Initially ignoring it after mistaking it for a doll, the young guy later discovered that it was a small nude corpse of a child around the age of 4 to 6 years old. Terrified and traumatized by the discovery, the man ran to the local priest and confessed what he saw, who reportedly notified the police. The body was found in a brutal state, inside a cardboard box that once held a baby bassinet sold by J.C. Penney. The body was of a baby boy, aged approximately 4 years old. He was found in a beaten and physically tortured state, naked and wrapped in a cheap flannel blanket. The child seemed to have been extremely malnourished, and the cause of death was declared to be a heavy head injury caused by a blow, a statement which was supported by the fresh bruises. The autopsy revealed more intriguing details about the case and the trauma suffered by the victim. The boy was pale and underweight with bruises all over his face and body. He was also recently groomed and cleaned with trimmed fingernails. While some of the bruises were new and indicated physical blows, there were several other surgical scars that looked old and healing. He was said to have had an L-shaped scar that was seen on his chin area, a scar that was almost fully healed near his groin, a surgical scar on his chest, a scar on his elbow, and a scar that indicated a blood transfusion on his ankle. The brutality and horror of this case left the most stone-cold officers of Philadelphia in a state of shock and fear. With the close call examination of the dead body revealing further details, the race to find the monstrosity behind this unspoken act began. The officers started off the case with the identification of the body of the baby boy that had been found. But to their surprise, that task was not as easy as it seemed. More than 30,000 flyers were circulated all around Pennsylvania and New Jersey, with the picture and basic details of the body. Multiple articles were written by the local press and the FBI's law enforcement bulletin, but nobody reverted back with any sort of information. It was almost as if there was somebody who knew what was going on, but hiding in the shadows. As the efforts towards identifying the body continued, the police simultaneously started their investigation into the elements found in and around the crime scene. They started off with the box that had been used to store and dump the boy's body, a cardboard box sold with bassinets from J.C. Penney. No fingerprints were found on the said box, and nothing useful came out of anything surrounding it. The box was tracked back to a store in Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, and despite there being no record of individual customers, the officers were able to track down the 11 bassinets sold in the area in that period. But once again, the officers hit a dead end. With the box rendered useless, they shifted their focus to the blanket the body of the baby was wrapped in. They sent the blanket for an examination, but again, nothing useful was discovered. An analysis conducted at the Philadelphia Textile Institute pointed towards certain places where it could have been manufactured. But considering the fact that thousands of identical blankets were produced every single day with the same cheap cotton in the place, the officers never found out where it was sold or who had been the customers. Next, they focused on a very crucial clue that was found at the crime scene: a blue cap with a leather strap, the label inside which read Robbins Eagle Hat and Cap Company. The owner, Robbins, gave a statement saying that one of the customers of the hat had returned for a leather strap customization, a blonde man in his late 20s. Even though this seemed crucial, the police could unfortunately not go on its trail. With the body still unidentified 5 months after it was found, the police department had to bury him in Pottersfield, near a mental institution. The officers who were on the case, baffled and hurt by the unspeakable tragedy of it, collected funds and established a gravestone for the unknown kid as a final act of kindness. As the case started to go cold with no leads whatsoever, and the victim still unidentified, the authorities tried their luck with DNA samples as they tried obtaining the samples from the buried body of the boy. The first attempt failed, and was followed by another in 2000, where they tried getting samples from his teeth, which also yielded no result. With the case seemingly almost over now, Multiple speculations and theories of the who, what, and why questions flooded in from all around the country. Two of these theories stood out exceptionally owing to their accuracy and increased probability of being the code cracker. The first theory was the psychic foster home theory. This was proposed by an employee, Bristow, at the medical examiner's office, who upon contacting a psychic was led to a foster home in the area. Bristow first got interested in this unsolved mystery in the late 1950s, and then he started to dig deeper into it. He was not able to put an end to it or solve it, but picked up some crucial scraps of information that longer-time researchers had managed to miss. For reasons we may never know, the identity of the boy in the box was not discovered back then and remained a mystery even in the records of officials. Bristow points out that an earlier theory suggested the boy might have been in foster care. After all, he was small for his age, clean and neat in appearance, but hardly ever washed grimy textured hands that held moistened pieces of bread, which meant that he either didn't do his own laundry or else had someone else do it for him, well nourished and healthy until the torture before his death, suggesting no signs at all characteristic of life on the street. Bristow expanded his argument in the light of the boy's appearance by saying, "In my opinion, the boy was living under identical circumstances as a child in foster home," he once elaborated. The foster home theory may explain the inability to determine his identity and the lack of official kidnapping reports or any such records in the database. Despite his efforts and the theory being widely studied and analyzed, at the end, it was ruled out as another dead end. However, significant suspicious factors were found in the foster home, such as a bassinet by J.C. Penney, which was the item inside the cardboard box the child was found in. Another striking coincidence was the spotting of blankets similar to the one on the kid's body in the foster home. Even with these elements, the police could not surround their investigation around the foster home for long before it stopped them in their tracks and brought them back to square one. The second, and one of the widely speculated and even accepted theories in the case of the boy in the box, was the M's theory. The person who brought this story into the open preferred to be anonymous and was widely referenced to as M in reports and local media. She said that her mother, a schoolmistress and librarian in the Lower Merion suburb, had gotten him in August 1954. Some sources suggested that she said the boy was really her mother's child and born of an extramarital affair with some unknown man. M claimed that both her mother and father violated her sexually, while he kept the boy in a cellar of their house, not only mistreating him physically, but also through sexual abuse. M says the boy was mentally debilitated. M reported that one night in February 1957, her mother took the boy upstairs for a bath after she commanded her to trim the boy's nails, which she attempted to do as neatly as possible. The boy then apparently threw up some baked beans, because of which M's mother beat the other child to death in frustration. Then her mother and father cut off most of the boy's hair, and her mother put the boy in the trunk of their family car. She then apparently drove to Fox Chase, where they left his body. It was also alleged that the parents of M were pedophiles or abusers with history, with no documentary evidence about this allegation. As much as a lot of the things she revealed went hand in hand with the medical examination findings, the officers were unable to follow this lead owing to the accused being dead and lack of concrete evidence. With absolutely no evidence tracing, lack of technology, and the unidentification of the body, which is the most crucial element to a case, the case infamously known as America's Unknown Boy in a Box ran cold for decades to come. A case that was long forgotten made a surprising, striking, and an extremely crucial breakthrough in 2022 with the help of new advanced genetic technology. The baby boy, who had remained unidentified for a near century, was finally identified in October 2021 as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. The information was finally made public after 14 months in December 2022, after a thorough verification process. This miraculous breakthrough is in one of the most mysterious and notorious cold case homicides in America, owed its glory to advanced genealogy and a technique used to collect samples from ancient mummified corpses. Under a team led by Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, a kind of web was built using the DNA sample retrieved from the child's body and all the samples stored in the database, tracing down the relatives and ultimately reaching the parents of the boy. thereby helping officers uncover his actual identity. The boy's parents, both deceased, were kept anonymous on media respecting the boy's alive siblings until a bunch of web sleuths leaked the information to the public. There were speculations on whether the parents might have harmed the child, but reports suggested that his mother was only 21 during his birth, and that his father might not even have been aware of his existence, which could mean that he was put up for adoption shortly after. Now that the identity of the victim has been identified, this long-lost case has sprouted a fresh start, with the officers terming it as an active and ongoing case. With the biggest question, which monster did this to Joseph? Still lurking around the corner, the child who had an unnamed grave for over 60 years finally received a proper headstone with his name on it on what should have been his 70th birthday. As investigators continue their work, the world is left wondering and waiting for the answers.